Are you ready to embark on an epic adventure? Are you a fan of tabletop role-playing games? Then you've probably heard of Pathfinder. You know that Pathfinder was born out of a desire to improve upon the popular Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 system. After the big fail of Dungeons & Dragons 4, Jason Bowman, lead designer of Pathfinder, wanted to create a system that would incentivize players to stick with their chosen class for the entirety of their playthrough. And that's exactly what Pathfinder did. With an array of options and abilities added to the core classes, Pathfinder offered players more variety and depth than ever before. Paizo also introduced the Pathfinder Society, an organized gameplay program that allowed players to use their characters across different groups and sessions, earning experience, money, and prestige points along the way. But Paizo didn't stop there. In 2018, they announced a second edition of Pathfinder, refining elements of the rule set based on feedback from players. They even released a preliminary rule set called the Pathfinder Playtest, so players could test out the changes and provide feedback before the final rule set was released in 2019. And in 2021, Paizo partnered with Demiplane to create the online platform, Pathfinder Nexus, providing a digital compendium and character creation tools for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Paizo has continued to release new products and campaigns for Pathfinder and its sister game, Starfinder, including the recent Rage of Elements and the Gatewalker's Adventure Path. And now, with the Open RPG creative license, Paizo is opening up their world to other publishers and creators, encouraging the growth and expansion of the tabletop role-playing game community. So grab your dice and your character sheet and get ready for an adventure like no other. Welcome to the world of Pathfinder. Let's start by looking into the key concept of Pathfinder 2e. After all, it's the most popular edition of the RPG, and it's the one you will probably jump into, so let's start. 1. Action Economy. The action economy is the set of rules governing how many actions a character can take on their turn, and what those actions can be. Each character has 3 actions per turn, plus 1 reaction per round. 2. Proficiency. Characters have proficiency in various skills, weapons, and armor. Proficiency determines how skilled a character is with a particular item or ability, and how likely they are to succeed when using it. 3. Feats. Feats are special abilities that characters can gain as they level up. Feats allow characters to customize their abilities and playstyle. 4. Classes. Characters in Pathfinder 2e choose a class, which determines their abilities and how they interact with the game world. Classes include familiar favorites like Fighter and Wizard, as well as new classes like Alchemist and Swashbuckler. 5. Ancestry. Ancestry is a character's race, which determines their starting abilities and special traits. 6. Character creation. Character creation in Pathfinder 2e is a modular process, allowing players to choose from a wide variety of options to create a character that suits their play style and preferences. 7. Critical hits and critical failures. In Pathfinder 2e, rolling a natural 20 on an attack roll results in a critical hit, which deals extra damage. Conversely, rolling a natural 1 on an attack roll results in a critical failure, which can have disastrous consequences. 8. Exploration Mode. Exploration Mode is a set of rules governing how characters interact with their environment outside of combat. In Exploration Mode, characters can search for hidden objects, track creatures, and engage in other non-combat activities. 9. Combat. Combat in Pathfinder 2e is tactical and strategic, with characters using their abilities and tactics to gain advantages over their foes. 10. Magic. Magic is a vital part of the Pathfinder 2e system, with characters able to cast spells and use magical abilities to aid them in combat and exploration. However, magic is also dangerous and unpredictable, with spells having varying levels of success, depending on a character's proficiency and the spell's level. Character creation. Step 1. Choose your ancestry. Ancestry refers to your character's race, and it determines your starting ability scores, hit points, speed, and other traits. Step 2. Choose your background. Backgrounds provide your character with unique skills and bonuses, and they help flesh out your character's backstory. Step 3. Determine your ability scores. Your ability scores represent your character's inherent strengths and weaknesses, and they determine how good you are at various tasks. You roll dice or use a point-buy system to determine your ability scores. Step 4. Choose your class. Your class determines your character's combat style and special abilities. There are several classes to choose from, including Fighter, wizard, rogue, cleric, and more. Step 5. Customize your class with feats. Feats are special abilities that allow you to customize your character's abilities and playstyle. You choose your first set of feats during character creation, and you'll gain additional feats as you level up. Step 6. Buy your gear. You start with a certain amount of gold to buy equipment, weapons, and armor. You'll need to balance your budget with your character's needs to create an effective adventurer. Step 7. Determine your saves and skills. Your character has several saving throws and skills that represent their ability to avoid harm and succeed at tasks. You determine these based on your class and ability scores. Step 8. Choose your spells, if applicable. If your character is a spellcaster, you'll choose your starting spells during character creation. Oh, wait a minute. I almost forgot to explain something important about character creation in Pathfinder 2e even more. Traits. Traits are these unique features that give characters special abilities, bonuses, or penalties. They come in a variety of types such as ancestry traits, background traits, class traits, and general traits. Ancestry traits are based on a character's ancestry like dwarf or elf and provide abilities or bonuses that reflect that ancestry. For example, a dwarf might have the hardy trait, which gives them resistance to certain types of damage. Background traits, on the other hand, reflect a character's upbringing or life experiences, such as growing up on a farm or being a former criminal. These traits provide bonuses or abilities that reflect the character's background. Class traits are unique to a character's chosen class, such as fighter or wizard, and provide abilities or bonuses that reflect that class. Lastly, general traits are available to all characters and provide abilities or bonuses that are not tied to a specific ancestry, background, or class. With traits, players can create unique characters with a variety of abilities and bonuses that reflect their character's story and experiences. It's a small but important detail that adds a lot of depth to character creation in Pathfinder 2e. Hero points. One of the most important key concepts in Pathfinder 2e is hero points, which somehow my dear brain didn't forget about. Hero points can be earned by performing heroic deeds that go beyond normal expectations. These points can be used to gain good fortune or recover from the brink of death. The GM is in charge of awarding hero points, with each character starting with 1 at the beginning of a session. Additional hero points can be earned by performing selfless or daring acts. A maximum of 3 hero points can be held at any one time, and any remaining points are lost at the end of the session. Hero points can be spent in 2 ways. The first is to reroll a check by spending 1 hero point, with the second result being the one that must be used. The second way to use hero points is to spend all points, minimum 1, to avoid death. This can be done when the dying condition would increase, with the character losing the dying condition entirely and stabilizing with 0 hit points. No wounded condition is gained, but if it already exists, it won't be lost or decreased. When spending hero points, players should describe the heroic deed or task that their character accomplishes with it. This could involve a lesson learned in a past adventure, a determination to save someone else, or an item obtained through a previous exploit. If a player is unsure or doesn't want to describe the deed, they can ask the GM to come up with something. This can be a collaborative process, with the GM reminding the player of a past event in the campaign that inspires them to push past their limits. Exploration mode. Pathfinder 2e Exploration Mode is a useful tool for game masters and players alike. It allows for tracking time in exploration and social encounters, and provides GM guidance. Unlike Encounter Mode, Exploration Mode is less dangerous, but offers its own challenges. During Exploration Mode, players will often engage in movement and role-playing. When exploring, players can inform the GM of their actions and roll skill checks when appropriate. For instance, if a rogue wishes to sneak into a building, they would roll for stealth against what could be inside. Skill checks are a vital part of Exploration Mode. Pathfinder 2e offers various exploration activities such as Avoid Notice, Call Companion, Follow the Expert, Express Rider, Gather Information, Repair, and Sense Direction. When exploring, players can choose an ally to perform a recurring skill check, or opt for a different exploration tactic that requires a skill check, like Avoiding Notice. Some players run Pathfinder 2e similarly to D&D 5e or Pathfinder 1e, by having players inform them of their actions and rolling skill checks as necessary. Others appreciate how exploration mode standardizes gameplay by requiring players to choose between different activities, such as talking to people or observing their surroundings. Players may also need to raise shields while engaging in conversation. Combat. Pathfinder 2nd Edition's Encounter Mode is the designated combat mode that operates with 6-second rounds, 3 actions per turn, and cyclic initiative. Combat often begins while in exploration mode and ends when players return to exploration mode. Pathfinder 2e also features stealth mode, allowing players to remain undetected during combat. The natural combat as war structures in Pathfinder 2e vary from we move forward as a clump to describe everything inch by inch. During combat, every character in an encounter has 3 actions to use during their turn, allowing for greater tactical thinking and maneuverability. To win a fight, players must deplete their enemy's resources before their own. Pathfinder 2e introduces new concepts, such as offensive reactions like the attack of opportunity, where a character can deal damage when an enemy moves past them during an encounter. Players may forget rules such as dynamic combat, extra attacks, reactions, critical hits, critical failures, hero points, dying condition, post-combat recovery, healing, and movement. When making an attack roll, determine the result by rolling 1d20 and adding your attack modifier for the weapon or unarmed attack you're using. Modifiers for melee and ranged attacks are calculated differently. Melee attack modifier equals strength modifier, or optionally dexterity for a finesse weapon plus proficiency bonus plus other bonuses plus penalties. Ranged attack modifier equals dexterity modifier plus proficiency bonus plus other bonuses plus penalties bonuses, and penalties apply to these rolls, just like with other types of checks. Weapons with potency runes add an item bonus to your attack rolls. In conclusion, Pathfinder 2nd Edition's overhaul of its action economy system provides players and game masters with more dynamic combat options, enabling greater efficiency and flexibility in battle. Magic. In Pathfinder 2e, magic is divided into 4 categories: arcane, divine, occult, and primal. Each type of magic draws from a different source and has its own unique spells and abilities. Magic users, or spellcasters, are an essential part of any party in Pathfinder 2e, and their abilities are crucial in combat situations. During combat, spellcasters use their actions to cast spells, which can be offensive or defensive. Spells vary in power and utility, from healing and protection to dealing devastating damage to enemies. Players must carefully choose their spells, depending on the situation they are in, to maximize their effectiveness in combat. To cast spells, spellcasters use spell slots, which represent the amount of magical energy they can expend. Spell slots are limited, and once used, they can only be replenished through rest or using magic items. Players must manage their spell slots carefully to avoid running out of magic during combat. In addition to spells, magic items are also essential in Pathfinder 2e. Magic weapons, armor, and accessories can give players an advantage in combat, providing bonuses to their abilities, defense, and damage. Magic items can also grant additional spells or abilities, giving players even more options in combat. In conclusion, magic is an essential part of Pathfinder 2nd Edition and closely linked to combat. Spellcasters must carefully choose their spells and manage their spell slots to maximize their effectiveness in battle. Magic items can also provide an advantage in combat, making them valuable additions to any party's arsenal. Combined with the dynamic combat system of Pathfinder 2e, magic adds an extra layer of strategy and excitement to combat encounters. How to avoid Lady of Graves and Raven Queen. In combat, the stakes are high in Pathfinder 2e. If a character's hit points reach 0 or below, they gain the dying condition. This means they are unconscious and must attempt a recovery check each round to determine whether they get better or worse. If they fail this check and their dying value reaches 4, they die. Fortunately, powerful magic can restore life to a dead character, but it's important to note that in Pathfinder 2e, there are no negative hit points. Instead, when a character takes damage equal to or greater than their HP, they go down to 0 HP and gain the dying 1 condition. If a critical hit knocks a character down to 0 HP, they gain the dying 2 condition instead of dying 1. Each round, they must make a save to stabilize. The save DC is based on the enemy's strength, with bosses having higher death DCs than weaker foes. If a character reaches dying 4, it's game over. But if they stabilize, they gain 1 hit point and are still dying. If they make another save at 1 HP, they regain consciousness and are no longer dying. To reduce the dying level in Pathfinder 2e, players can use hero points to stop dying, or take the chance of rolling to stabilize or allow other allies to act to save them. Players can also recover hit points naturally, with a full night's rest, 8 hours of sleep or more, recovering 1 hit point per character level. Any significant interruption during their rest will prevent natural healing. It's important for players to not only understand combat mechanics, but also the consequences of falling in battle. With no negative hit points, every attack brings the risk of death. With powerful magic, players can come back to life and fight another day. When I played this system for the first time, I had a hard time understanding it first. As someone who started with D&D and Open Legend RPG, the death system in Pathfinder was kind of overwhelming. In D&D, the death system is like KO in fighting sports like box. Pathfinder's dying system feels more realistic and less arcade, which is a good thing. Adventure paths to play. So, did you enjoy this video so far? And did you decide to pick this system to play it with your real-life group or online group? There is some adventures, campaign, or paths as they are called you may enjoy. Here are brief summaries of the 10 popular Pathfinder 2e adventure paths. Age of Ashes. This adventure path features dragon-fueled conflicts and sees players fighting to save the world from destruction. Outlaws of Alkenstar. Set in a Western steampunk world, players will have to deal with corrupt officials and various factions as they try to establish themselves in the city. Bloodlords. This adventure path is all about fighting zombies and other undead creatures, while exploring the strange and spooky land of Ustalov. Kingmaker. This adventure path sees players establishing their own kingdom in the untamed wilderness, while dealing with various political intrigues and dangers. Abomination Vaults. Players will venture deep into a mysterious dungeon, facing all sorts of traps, puzzles, and monsters in search of a powerful artifact. Agents of Edgewatch. This adventure path focuses on crime solving and sees players working as cops in the city of Absalom, dealing with various criminal organizations and corrupt officials. Fist of the Ruby Phoenix. This adventure path takes inspiration from Shaun and Battle of 9 and features a fighting tournament where players must compete against powerful opponents. Quest for the Frozen Flame. Players are tasked with finding a way to save their tribe in a frozen wasteland, facing all sorts of dangers and strange creatures along the way. Strength of Thousands. This adventure path sees players journeying to a distant land in search of a legendary weapon that can save their homeland from a looming threat. Extinction Curse. Players will have to join a traveling circus and put on performances, while also uncovering a sinister plot that threatens the world. Thank you for joining me today on the Grimoire of Narimal channel as we explored some of the important rules in Pathfinder 2e. We've covered a lot of ground, from character creation to combat and adventure paths. I hope you found this video informative and helpful as you embark on your Pathfinder 2e journey. Remember, mastering the rules is just the beginning. The true magic of Pathfinder lies in the limitless possibilities for adventure and storytelling. So I encourage you to gather your friends, roll some dice, and dive into the world of Pathfinder 2e. With a rich setting, engaging characters, and an abundance of options, this game offers something for everyone. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content on Pathfinder 2e and other tabletop RPGs. And as always, may your adventures be filled with excitement and wonder.